Despite what my hair would suggest, pink is technically not a real color.
Okay.
We tend to think of color as a sort of wheel, with one color blurring into the next, until it comes all the way back around.
Sure. Okay, we can agree about color wheels.
But light waves and their corresponding colors are more like a number line, with red having the longest light waves and the greatest values, and violet having the smallest values, or shortest light wave.
Now, this is a creator I respect, and whose content I love. I'm going to argue with her post here anyway, but that is in no way a judgment against her. She's awesome. Okay? Now, the range of visible wavelengths is not equivalent to the range of colors we're capable of perceiving. We have to start there. But continue.
But this number line of sorts leaves no room for pink. Where the heck is it? How the heck do we see it? It doesn't exist. Or at least not as its own light wave.
Okay, here's another problem. We're defining color as individual wavelengths of light within the band of electromagnetic radiation that we call the visible spectrum. That's not what color is, first of all. Secondly, how often in real life do we see individual wavelengths of light separated out like that? Almost never. In theory, sure, we see wavelengths of light separated out when we look at a rainbow, or at the light coming from a prism, or in a diffraction situation like the surface of a CD. Other than those rare circumstances, essentially everything hitting our eyes is a whole bombardment of all different wavelengths of light. Even in what might look like the most brilliantly saturated red flower, or the deepest orange sunset, or the darkest blue sapphire, we're not experiencing monochromatic light. We're seeing bands of multiple wavelengths that our visual systems process as having various degrees of purity or saturation. But those are no more pristine or monochromatic than the magenta that's getting so beat up here. Our brains have to do just as much processing to recognize their color as when we perceive a mix of short and long wavelengths as pink or purple or magenta. The only difference is that, as she rightly says, magenta can't be plotted onto a single point on the line of visible wavelengths. In truth, though, neither can any of the other colors we experience in everyday life, because they're also not monochromatic. Moving on.
But if you're familiar with the primary colors of light, red, blue, and green, as we mix them together, we get white light. But as we subtract green from that spectrum, we get pink.
Okay, sure, white light can be made of red, green, and blue. It can also be made of orange, yellow, cyan, and indigo. In fact, white light, or a whitish-looking analog of white light, can be made of as few as 2 wavelengths, as long as they're what are called binary complementary wavelengths. That means that the mix of the two crosses through what's called the Planckian locus, or the range of white light on a standard chromaticity diagram. Now, this could be cyan and amber, it could be violet and lime green. The term white is not actually indicative of anything more than how our visual systems perceive it. Again, it's a quantification of our experience. It is nothing intrinsic about the light itself. It tells us nothing really about the spectral content or the spectral distribution of the light that's hitting our eyes. Color is an experience that's a product of the processing that goes on within our visual systems. Please, let's understand this. You could argue, well, that's not true at all. The visible spectrum starts with red light, and then orange, and then yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. Whether I look at it or not, those are all the colors. Okay, those colors correspond to a range of wavelengths that goes from around 750 nanometers down to around 400 nanometers, and that, depending on the brightness, the context, the individual observer sensitivity, blah, blah, blah. So what if I were to ask, what's the color of a wavelength outside of the visible range? Let's say 300 nanometers. What's that color? Oh, nonsense, you'd say. That's outside the visible spectrum. It has no color because we can't see it. Ha! Aha! There you go! Color is not intrinsic to the light or the object reflecting, transmitting, or emitting that light. It only has color because we see it. because we're observing it, because we are experiencing it. The universe doesn't care whether a given photon is within the range that we can see with our eyes. A photon is a photon. It has no color. Color exists only in our minds, or in our cameras, or whatever it is we're pointing at that we have designed to interface with our minds, okay? And for that reason, it doesn't matter whether it's a single wavelength or multiple wavelengths that we're seeing. All color is as real as we perceive it to be, including magenta. Sorry, Becca, I disagree with you on this one. But please check out A Brush with Becca and tell her hi from me. You'll love it. As always, nice seeing you.